Cunningham is a teacher, a pianist, a researcher, and a music lover at heart. He's also this week's Culture in Color feature.
Culture in Color, presented by Dungaluk Studios Art Gallery.
His goal is to transform humanity through artistry, so he created Adventures in the Arts, interactive edutainment experiences for all generations. It uses performing, visual, multimedia, and even culinary arts to share stories about human existence. And now Dion Cunningham is here to share more about this year's Adventures in the Arts event and what we have to look forward to. Welcome to What's Trending.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and a joy to be here. It's been a while.
Yes, it has been. So we talk a lot about art and your artistry. Tell our viewers exactly what's your passion, what drives you in the music, art, and now the performing arts arena.
Well, we don't have all day, but what I will say is this, that I have been influenced by so many. I stand on the shoulders of so many people. I remember being a child and watching performances of the late Lee Callender and Francis Fox, and then later being poured into by my piano teacher, Dawn Sands, and then later on by Audrey Dean Wright and others. And there's so many people over the years. And so the appreciation and the love for the arts was given to me by those that preceded me. Mm-hmm. And then also, I wanted to use arts in a way that was different. I think it is understood that in the Bahamian community that, first of all, every Bahamian is musical. You could just see it on December 26th every year.
Yes.
But also, we have to think about how we could use music beyond the traditionally known uses. Most musicians enjoy careers in tourism, and there's value in that. But outside of that, can music go beyond entertainment? Can the arts go beyond entertainment? And so Adventures in the Arts really exists within that space to show how the arts can be used for transformation of our community, but also of each individual person.
And I read on your website that it really started with your love for wanting to teach children more about classical music, and it ballooned into what we have now, 10 years of doing Adventures in the Arts, yes. Right? How important or how hard was it for you to kind of fuse all of these disciplines? You talk about music, multimedia, performing arts, now even culinary arts. How do you bring all of these worlds together to pull off this event?
Well, it started from my experiences as an elementary school student and also a high school student. And I had two different experiences. I had a music teacher at Talma Gibson Primary, Miss Mortimer, who really gave me a cultural education, and so that was amazing. But then I went to a high school where the arts wasn't as appreciated. And so one of the things I knew was that I wanted to give, when I knew that I was returning to the Bahamas, I wanted to give students children and youth experiences that I never received as a high school student. And so that's where the idea for Adventures in the Arts came about. There wasn't a single event locally that was an arts event catered specifically for youth. And so Adventures in the Arts started because of my desire to really cater to an audience of kids, an audience of youth. And what I saw on those first concerts was that I had opened up a world to our community, the youth in our community, that they normally would never get the chance to experience. Where would they have gone to see a piano recital? Where would they have gone to see visual art of the Impressionist period? Where would they have gone to see music in film or even music in video games? These are things that are understood, but to be presented in a way that is not only entertaining but educational was so thrilling for me in that first year in 2016. And I was still a student in 2016. And I did not even dream that 10 years later that we would be in this position. And now I've been able to understand that there are lots of artists that want to use their art forms beyond giving people a belly full, as in the culinary arts,
right?
or to look at a painting and say, oh, that's really beautiful, or that's nice. It really speaks to stories that also connect with our own lives. Every art form interacts with us in two ways. It interacts with us in our personal history. There are things that go on in our lives, and art helps us to connect to ourselves. And then, of course, we all embody art, which is, we talk about the movement, the dance, but also understanding that the arts has a role to play in the way even our internal state is. And so that is something, and I think we could all agree, there are two issues we have in our community. We have a communication problem. Arts helps us to communicate. And then we have a listening problem. The arts, particularly music, is the one art form where the core skill is the skill of listening. And I think
we all need more of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So what can attendees expect to experience at this year's Adventures in the Arts? We see dancing, we see poetry, we see so many different forms. What can we put me in the seat in the arena? What am I going to experience?
So, wow, you're going to experience a feast for the senses.
Ooh.
A feast for the senses. Visually speaking, you're going to see performing arts of all types. You're going to see musicians, you're going to see dancers, you're going to see actors. And so that is going to take place on the stage. But also, so that's the theatrical side, one could say. But then you're also going to experience a cinematic side. A part of the Adventures team right now are filmmakers and animators who help to tell the story through film. And so my brother said to me once, he said, you know, Dion, Adventures in the Arts is so different because you simultaneously get theater and cinema within the single course. And then, of course, this year, because we normally don't do Christmas, but in our 10th year, we said, okay, we have to do something to celebrate. And so we're going to tell the Christmas story in a way that most people would never expect.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
And so what is the Christmas story? Yes, we know about the babe born in Bethlehem and the manger, but also those stories that we may think about in a new way. What about Rudolph? What about Jack Frost?
Okay.
What are the lessons that we can learn from these entities that we see every Christmas, but we don't often think about in a deeper way that can actually impact our lives and transform our lives?
Well, it sounds like we're in for a treat this year. So where can we get tickets? How can people find the show? All the good stuff, all the details.
So first of all, you can follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. But as far as tickets, we have Customs, Computers, Caves Village, Logos Bookstore, and of course the venue, Christ Community Church, where we're going to have our week of entertainment and educational activities. And tickets for our Friday gala, which is being under the patronage of First Lady Anne Marie Davis, you will get a full 3-course culinary experience along with the show. So that's $150. And people who come to that event, what they need to know is that you're not only supporting the event itself, but also all of the outreach work, the arts education, the community outreach. We just came back from the Lutheran Cat Island this summer, where we were doing work there. And so that event is for that purpose. And then, of course, Saturday evening is for our general public, and for that event, the adult price is $50 for adults and $20 for kids.
A feast for the senses. Sounds like we're in for a treat, like I said. I hear food, I hear some dancing, some singing, some music. I think I'm going to book my ticket.
Absolutely.
Well, Dion, thanks so much. This sounds like such an awesome event. And thank you for sharing your love of the arts, not just with us, but with our youth as well. All right, thank you so much for that. Well, coming up next, we take a look at a new web series that's just in time for the holidays. Stay with us.